bring on the election, we will be forming a new Labour government.
What are your hopes for a Labour government?
It seems like the focus of this is they're talking about the economy a lot, and what I'd really like is for them to recognise that the economy is made of people. It's our interactions, our work, our purchases, and so if we're not well, then the economy isn't well. And so investing in public services, ensuring people can access doctors when they need it, have good housing that's secure and warm, have good adult social care and childcare, that enables them to work and to contribute to the economy. And so investing in public services is essential for a strong economy, and we need to stop thinking of it in terms as a drain on public finances and recognise without investing in the essentials, public services, that we're never going to get a strong economy. And I'd really like that narrative for investment and strong public services to be coming through much stronger.
I mean, especially initially, I think stabilising the country is so important, getting that in. But then for me, long term, I'd like to see some more constitutional reforms. I'd like to see a change from the first past the post system that we have at the moment, which I think is just horrific in how it just keeps out all parties other than the top two, as well as House of Lords reform, which Keir Starmer's talked about in the past, and I'm hoping that they'll push forward with that sort of thing and help to increase the democratic representation of the country.
I'd like to be able to prioritise something, but there's so much that needs to be put right. I mean, the country is broken, has been broken by succession of Conservative governments, a succession of Conservative leaders, and there's a lot that needs putting right. I mean, obviously, we've got to start from the bottom and work up. So, we have hunger, we have poverty, we have homelessness, so we need a programme of house building. We need to put the NHS right. But I suppose, given that I'm here very much as part of my trade union delegation, I'm a member of ASLEF, the Train Drivers Union. Obviously, one of the things that we are very, very keen to see is the rebuilding of a fully integrated transport system with rail at its heart, rail at its centre, which will obviously add to the green agenda. And perhaps top of my list would be to see the repeal of the anti-trade union legislation, which has, is quite pernicious Conservative legislation designed to tie the hands of workers and stop workers having the protections that they need. So the shopping list is long. The shopping list is very, very long.
I'd like to see us in office. And this really feels like an exciting moment. I think everybody's quite kind of upbeat at the moment. So, yeah, this feels very different to how it was a few years ago.
I will hope that next time that conference is in Liverpool, that we do have a Labour government, and a Labour government that will look at tackling child poverty.
I mean, above all, I think stability. If we can get that stability back, then that provides really the building blocks where we can really start to develop as a country. We can get the economic growth that we need, and when we get that economic growth, we can really do all the things we want to do.
I really hope that we can change the electoral system. I mean, it's something that's very dear to my heart. I also want improvements to childcare services because I've got grandchildren, and fair pay for people who work in nurseries, and a safe environment for them, and more funding to schools.
I think the party's heading in the right direction. We've got some very powerful, inspirational speeches from some of the Shadow Cabinet members. I think the one that was the most inspirational one is from the Shadow Chancellor, who talked about how we can win the election, and she made a very profound statement regarding the economy. We are going to win based on the economy because the Tories, we've had 13 years of austerity. They have wrecked the economy of the nation, and the only way we can get out of this crisis is a party that has a proper economic policy. And the Shadow Chancellor gave a lot of assurances how Labour are going to go in that direction.
And what have been your takeaways from this year's Labour Party conference?
I think the real takeaway for me is that there is hope. There's hope for something different. There's hope for change, and there's hope for the Labour Party and for this country. And I really do think that it's time for something different, and it's a chance to show and prove ourselves again, I think.
I was very impressed with and his speech. What I particularly liked about it was it had, I suppose to use the cliche, it was a bit of a barnstormer, but it had a lot of substance. And actually, I think it probably covered most of the bases that I just spoke about. I think it set out, in a nutshell, it sets out the programme of work that we have in front of us.
I can feel that the policy agenda is really starting to come together. I thought Rachel Reeves' speech was really strong, so people could, both feel that that's got the right sort of balance between fiscal discipline, but also, that energy and excitement around sort of green technology and an investment in, the things that we really need to start doing. And I thought Yvette Cooper was fantastic again, is really getting that message about we're about law and order and about security and about support for people. I thought that was exactly the right kind of balances. So yeah, I'm feeling very excited and very engaged at the moment.
Rachel Reeves' speech was talking about public services, and that now needs to be reflected in the policies and crucially in the budgets and how much money they're investing in these public services that have been decimated under the Tories.
I think the key takeaway is that finally we have a party that resonates with the people. I mean, for a few years, we've been trying to get that connection. We remember what happened at the 2019 election when we had a massive electoral loss, and that was due to the fact that we're not actually connecting to the people. But I think for the first time, we are now connecting with our main electorates, and even with the swing voters, the volatile voters, we're actually winning them over. So I think for the first time in a long time, I think the Labour Party is now ready to take over the government, form the new government, and give UK the brighter future that everyone deserves.
I would say that the mood in the conference this year has been very buoyant, and I think that is down to the fact that we believe that we will be in Parliament at the next general election, and I think that feeling of optimism is resonating throughout the conference, and for me as the Labour MP for Liverpool Riverside, I really welcome that.
The organisation of conference definitely has been outstanding, just like last year. I mean, it's a far cry from, to be honest, the complete chaos we've had in conferences past, and I think really the clear difference we've seen between Labour's conference and the Conservatives' conference, because I think this year the Conservatives, they've lost the toxicity that they had last year, because last year's conference with Liz Truss, it was just toxic, but that toxicity has been replaced really by despair, because I don't think Conservative members really believe that they can even win the election, and that's really come through in the party's leadership. I mean, Rishi Sunak desperately making all these changes, trying to create some sense of, being the change candidate, which of course he can never be. And then the fact that people weren't really going to see, cabinet ministers, and were rather going to see Liz Truss, Jacob Rees-Mogg, and even Nigel Farage.
How would you describe Keir Starmer's leadership?
We're obviously in a really good position as a party now, but I think he needs to set out a really strong vision of what future he wants, what that's going to look like, and how Labour is going to promote that. And I think at the core of that needs to be strong public services for a strong economy, and it needs to be strong public services for a green economy.
I think Keir Starmer has, above everything else, he's shown real strength. I mean, in the way that he's transformed the Labour Party, he's done what it took the Labour Party, 18 years to do last time. And he's taken us from our worst election defeat since the 1930s and got us in the position where we're on the cusp of government. You'll hear a lot of people saying, he doesn't have the wow factor, he isn't the next Blair. But to be honest, I don't think the country necessarily wants a new Blair. I think the country really just wants politics to be out of the way for a little bit, because since Brexit we've just had politics. And while that's great for those of us that love it, I think for the country at large, we need that stability. We need things to get back to a bit of normality so that the country can really just start to relax and start to rebuild.
I think he's done a fantastic job since he became leader, because if you look at where the party was before he became leader, the party was in chaos. Now he has been able to get the ship in the right place. He's been able to bring up the right policies that resonate with the people. So I think in terms of his leadership has been inspirational. His leadership has been able to mobilize people and restore the glory of the Labour Party. So I'm really happy with what he's done in this short period of time, because you have to remember that we were far behind the polls before he became the leader. And within a short period of time, we are leading on the polls by double digits. So, I mean, if anyone wants to question his track record, look at the polls. He's actually doing what the people want to hear. So, for me, bring on the election, we will be forming a new Labour government.
I think it's been transformable. I didn't hear anybody saying after the last election that we stood any hope at all of being on the verge of a majority. You know, so to be in the situation that we're in today is a stunning political achievement. In the past, we've managed to screw it up. Let's hope we don't do it this time.
How would I describe Keir Starmer's leadership? Cautious.
I've always liked Keir Starmer. I think he's going to get stronger and stronger as the election looms, and let's hope for Labour government.